Caitlin Clark is the topic of discussion right now, not just in women's basketball, but in sports, period. She shot herself into superstardom over the last 2 years, dominating in the college game. Ahead of her beginning her professional debut this summer with the Indiana Fever, there's been tons of discussion projecting how her game will translate. When it's all said and done, will she be considered one of the greatest to ever play, or will the professional game bring her down to earth? Let's take a look at the league, Caitlin's game, and her new team to make an informed prediction. Despite some of the hyperbolic discourse by people who don't watch the WNBA, Caitlin's highlight reel shots actually won't be unprecedented in the league. The WNBA has long-distance combo guards like Arike Gumbawale, whose shot chart is identical to Caitlin's. Like Caitlin, Arike will pull up from anywhere, with flair, and drain it. She actually won Notre Dame an NCAA championship in 2018 off of a nasty fadeaway corner three. Then there's Sabrina Ionescu, who went head-to-head with Steph Curry in the NBA All-Star three-point contest this year and only lost by 3 points, shooting from the men's three-point line, which is further out than the NCAA college line and the WNBA line. Sabrina also has Caitlin's second most praised trait, elite vision and passing accuracy. Sabrina still holds the NCAA record for triple-doubles from her time at Oregon and received high compliments on her IQ from her mentor, Kobe Bryant. But here's the thing. Neither Arike nor Sabrina are considered elite players in the WNBA today. Arike is the number one on her team, but her talent hasn't translated much to winning. They're usually a first round out or miss the playoffs entirely. Sabrina's had flashes after being drafted to revive the dead New York Liberty franchise, but after gradual improvements her first few years, ownership got impatient and used free agency to create a super team where Sabrina is now the fourth or fifth option. Neither made the All-Star game until their third seasons, and neither has ever even sniffed MVP conversations. This is why you hear some WNBA fans and players pump the brakes on crowning Caitlin before she plays any minutes. Tougher defenses, team construction, and differences in the professional game can take a player who was a juggernaut in college and turn them into a great but not elite player with no hardware. Especially guards, which Caitlin is. A true guard hasn't won MVP since 2009 in the WNBA. However, I think Caitlin will be the one to break that streak. A lot in sports depends on where you land, and I think Caitlin has hit the jackpot with her team. Yes, the team that is currently in the longest playoff drought in the league. In Caitlin's introductory press conference, Lynn Dunn, the Indiana Fever GM, compared Caitlin to Sue Bird, who's widely considered the best women's point guard ever, and certainly the winningest. Lynn Dunn was actually the GM of the Seattle Storm back when they drafted Sue, another number one overall pick and college star. But more importantly, Lynn had just drafted the uber-talented center Lauren Jackson the year before, giving Sue Bird an instant pick-and-roll partner her rookie season. With an utterly dominant post player and great role players, Sue hit the ground running in Seattle, and by her third season, they won their first championship. During that partnership, cut short by Lauren's injuries unfortunately, they won 2 championships and Lauren won 3 MVP awards. In choosing Caitlin Clark in this year's draft, Lynn Dunn recreated her tenure in Seattle almost 20 years later, drafting a star college guard 1 year after using another number 1 overall pick to draft a star big in Aaliyah Boston. The Fever have also been using later picks to build a strong and well-balanced young team with a couple of veterans. They have solid wings, 2 great post players with a potential superstar in Aaliyah Boston, and a stout team defense courtesy of willing, tough attitudes and great size from their second guard in Lexi Hull. Add to that one of the best mid-range shooters in the league in Erica Wheeler, and you have a team that Caitlin's skill set can elevate to contention. Coming into the WNBA, Caitlin's biggest flaws are her lack of defensive skill, limited mid-range shot selection, and loose handle under pressure. Indiana's current roster literally addresses all 3 of these. With a great team defense, rim protectors, and perimeter defenders, Caitlin will be able to be hidden on defense. And she showed in college that she can use her length to disrupt passing lanes occasionally for a steal, which could be lethal when you can throw the ball ahead to Aaliyah Boston or Alyssa Smith on a fast break, or she could take it herself for a wide-open transition 3. Her shot chart shows a strong preference for shots beyond the arc or at the basket, and those ones at the basket will be harder to come by with the insane rim protectors she'll face in the WNBA, like Asia Wilson and Brittany Griner. If she were on an unbalanced team, that would force her into a diet of primarily tough, long-range contested shots, which, even for one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen, would still be inefficient. But the Indiana Fever were already 4th in points in the paint last year, with the rookie Aaliyah Boston, and without great point guard distribution. And they have great mid-range shooters to threaten the middle of the court. This should give Caitlin great assist opportunities and increase the efficiency of her own shot making, even while not being pushed too far out of her comfort zone as a rookie. Finally, her turnovers. If Caitlin were being drafted to a team without a co-star like Sabrina Ionescu was, she would likely be double-teamed and followed all game, every game, and we saw how she was slowed down in back-to-back playoff games by that kind of defense. She'll play even better defenders in the WNBA, but any team game planning for the Fever will need to devote attention to Aaliyah Boston, and that should relieve some pressure on her and give her time to tighten her handle at the beginning of her career and increase her assist-to-turnover ratio, which was decent for college but far from great compared to the best WNBA point guards. Now, while the Sue Bird comparison has some merit, it would be audacious to say that Caitlin will definitely match her career success. Sue won 4 WNBA championships over her career, was a perennial all-star, and contributed to winning up until her last season in her 40s. But one thing Sue doesn't have is an MVP. She was paired with 2 co-stars during her career, Lauren Jackson and then Breanna Stewart. And as great as Sue was, both LJ and Stewie were better. So during their winning stretches, MVP awards went to them, and Sue wasn't part of those conversations. I think Caitlin's situation is different. Don't get me wrong, Aaliyah Boston is a great player, but I don't think she's a generational talent in today's WNBA that is chock full of outstanding post players, including 2 of the best we've ever seen in Asia and Stewie. Lauren Jackson was a groundbreaking big, a stretch 4-5 before those were really a thing. She had a game that was aesthetically pleasing in a way that Boston's isn't, and she was a better scorer than Sue was. On the contrary, Caitlin's game is more aesthetically pleasing than Boston's, and she has a potential to be an equal scorer, if not better. When Caitlin and Aaliyah do start winning together, and I do think it's that inevitable within a few years, I believe Caitlin will get the most attention between the 2 of them, and I can see it translating into MVP votes for the guard of the tandem this time around. So what do I project from Caitlin and the Fever? For Caitlin's rookie season, I'm predicting that she will win Rookie of the Year going away. Aaliyah Boston's production will take a leap, and the Fever will make their first playoffs in 7 years, likely as a lower seed and not make it out of the first round, especially if they match up with the Liberty. But it'll be a great building block. And in the long run, I expect this duo to win at least 1 championship, and during her prime, I expect Caitlin to lead a paradigm shift in the WNBA to valuing backcourt players by becoming the first guard to win MVP in a long time. I love Caitlin's game, and I wish her the best. There will likely be stumbles along the way, but I'm confident and excited about her transition. The Indiana Fever, the WNBA, and basketball as a whole are lucky to have such a talent, and it'll be great to see her grow. Do you agree or disagree with my predictions? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and check out the other videos on my channel. Until next time.